Akademiks can't ride no wave.
Can I find their show? Let me see. Is it this? Allow YouTube ads. Yeah, that's Joe, my man. So I gotta make sure you get his ad dollars. Let's go. I'm trying to play the original point.
The thoughts.
Okay, here we go.
Friends disagree.
And listen,
Hey, yo, but
Yo, how you doing on our bet?
I'm cool.
Scale right there.
What about?
We gonna get to you crying about that Hollywood Unlocked Award.
Yeah, that matters.
Well, I started with profile.
Yeah.
Profile. It starts there. Kendrick is way different. I was mad that it got clipped up that way, but engagement farming, I get it. Have a blast.
Oh,
You know,
Oh, okay. No, he was commenting on this. So he was commenting on spaces he did where he said something that went viral, and it was this.
As far as your other point, I'll share some really, it may come off the wrong way, it may sound narcissistic, but I don't think any one man takes down Drake. I think that was a baton. I think I passed the baton to Push. I think Push passed the baton to Kendrick, and the job is done now. That's how I feel in my head and my heart.
That's crazy.
But that's looking at Drake as more than just a person. That's looking at him as an entity, a business,
Yeah.
That's a wild baton to
Definitely,
pass,
definitely.
by the way. Yeah, I was.
As far as your
Okay. Now he explained that, and I want to give him his proper due by him.
we gonna get to you crying about that Hollywood Unlocked Award.
Can you explain the Ish? Because Ish looks confused. He has no idea what you're talking about with this baton passing.
They set me up for the gusto again, but I walk into the trap because Joe Budden. We on the spaces. The Drake topic won't die. A Joe Budden fan.
By the way, Joe is right about that. Everybody keeps thinking Ak or Joe or whoever is obsessed with talking about Drake. First and foremost, for everybody who's discussing us talking about them, me and Joe Budden are the only media entities that were mentioned in the battle. Drake literally mentioned the Joe Budden podcast on Tailor Made Freestyle. Kendrick mentioned me on 616, and I'm literally sampled on push-ups. So for the rest of y'all media niggas, y'all are the ancillary niggas. Like, y'all are the niggas that just keep going. I'm not dragging it. I'm in it. Joe not dragging it. He's in it. For the rest of you niggas, y'all should hang it up. Just to be very clear. And I just gotta, I gotta say that because me and my mans, we 1 and 2. We trade spots every now and then. You feel what I'm saying?
Clearly a Joe Budden fan, like a music Joe Budden fan, says, hey, Joe, I ain't gonna lie. Yo, don't you think that in terms of like the information that was used in the battle that you kind of laid the blueprint for? And I'm down south, just walking around outside. Little Buffalo Wild Wings. And I'm like, you know what? Yo, anytime you say to yourself, you know what? Some bullshit is coming out. But I'm standing, I'm dead ass. So I say, you know what? This is gonna sound arrogant and a little narcissistic, but I don't care, fuck it. I'm talking to my people.
There's other people there. Nigga don't know you
That's where you always go wrong.
Yo, I used to think that when we were streaming. Remember when we had like 3,000 people watching our stream? I'd be like, yo, I could tell y'all little secrets about the industry nobody will ever know. I'm only talking to y'all. And then once I started making the blogs for everything I said, I'm like, oh, this is a really public platform. But if y'all don't know my streaming history, I started streaming because I not hated the fact I had 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and I wanted to talk to my core audience that I thought was a family in a community, the chat niggas. And what happened is, it worked for about like a year or two, and then it started getting popular, and then people started infiltrating it and just be like, oh, let's just sit here and wait for clips.
If you talk to your people, nigga, you don't have people. You never had people. You got abandonment issues your whole life. Your dad went to jail. Like, nigga, why you think you got people anywhere? And I said, you know what? I personally do feel like I passed the baton to Push, Push passed the baton to Kendrick, and now the job is done. End quote. Boy, they clipped that motherfucker up like hotcakes, but without the question.
Okay.
So the clip just starts with, and the headlines say, Joe Budden is taking credit for Kendrick's win against Drake. Joe Budden says Kendrick couldn't beat Drake without his information. It's a bad headline. So they cut out the question, and it's me saying, you know what? I do feel like I gave them niggas the baton. And he gave, now that we here on my platform where I can expound, I'm not expounding because I 100% stand in that. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Push got a little creative. He went.
Did the research.
Yeah, I don't want.
Okay, he's basically going to explain that, yo, and I don't want to play the whole thing. He's saying, yo, I'm not saying I killed him. I'm saying that I started with the train of thought and idea that everybody else expounded upon, right? Like I talked about some of the what I perceived as fakeness or fraudness, or he got his body done, blah 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 blah. Like he said, he basically said stuff, then Pusha T took that and added some more stuff, and then you get Kendrick, who takes all of that plus a lot more and masterfully puts it into something. Now, I do have a little issue with people saying the job is done. Like the job is done is kind of like, yo, that's a tricky thing. Is this job done if you're saying that the battle is over, or you're saying the job is done by you're saying you took down the guy? Anyway, let me try to get to that part, which I thought was a great point by Joe.
Mm-hmm. But there's so many different Drakes. Which one are you a fan of?
Oh, here we go.
Underneath, which is culture people.
Oh, here we go.
Both things could be true.
True, which is why, I don't want it to sound like I passed the baton to Push, like Push used everything I said. I don't feel like that. There may have been remnants, but Push had another level to go to. And he went there and did it effectively, which is why you passed the baton to him. He adds layers. Okay. He passes it to Kendrick, who also used remnants of all of that shit and added his layer. And now the job is done. In no way am I taking credit. I don't want no part to this moment. But as someone that has battled, and as an MC, and as someone that's battle tested, take my word for it. When people are engaging in war, them niggas is listening to all the disses that came before it.
I agree.
It just happens.
That's true.
It just happens. So it don't matter if none of the fans heard the shit, the participants heard it, and I can hear the remnants of the foundation laid by me.
Now he's going to make a great point. Here's the
What's
point
weird
I was
about
trying to
this
get to.
whole online discourse regarding this topic is that, like, all the rappers openly say, yo, you were dope, I'm a fan of what you did as an MC, including Drake, and yet they will be like, nobody knows who you are, no one listens to that shit, nothing.
Well,
both things could be true.
True, which is why, myself, Push, the profile needed is not there. The profile, Kendrick adds a trillion things because of the MC and the person that he is. But his profile, with how he got to his main point, like when Push was putting out the blackface pictures, and some of the points he was driving was, hey, our culture is not his culture.
I agree with Joe with this. I agree with Joe with this.
Kendrick just leaned all the way into that and put on a master class and a PowerPoint presentation and a masterful execution of that point.
Which, by the way, I think only Kendrick could do, because Kendrick's whole career has seemingly been so cultural infused. Like, he's making songs like "We Gonna Be All Right." He's not the guy saying, "Yo, I'm selling coke," like motherfucking Pusha T or Joe Budden, who, like, most of it, he was having a lot of emo type of rap type of stuff. Kendrick is a culture guy all the way. So when he realized, wait, there's a culture angle that, number one, I'm a culture guy. There's a culture angle I could get at Drake. Let me really dig down and sink my teeth in. Of course it's going to work, right? So I agree with Joe with this. I'm not going to lie to you.
And he's a bigger star at the end of the day.
Yeah, that matters.
I started with profile.
Yeah.
Profile. It starts there. Kendrick is way different. I was mad that it got clipped up that way, but engagement farming, I get it. Have a blast.
Joe, can we just address the fact you have a little bias to seeing
There you go, Monty.
Drake get his ass kicked a little bit.
Bias. I love him getting his ass kicked.
All right,
See, I like when Joe says that. And I like when Joe says that because it's just honest and open. Yes, I want to see this nigga lose. I want to see him lose. It's fine to say that. Yo, this is one thing I've realized about the fans. I heard fans say this to me. They're like, yo, Ak, you know what we don't like? We feel you're biased. My nigga, I've always said, listen, if you watch me, my if I post something on Twitter or like on Instagram or if one of my pages that, I run through my subsidiaries, yes, that's supposed to be more of a neutral thing. If you're watching me on stream give my opinion, most of my opinion is tinted by my life experiences and my thoughts. I'm not sitting here, I'm not Don Lemon. I'm not the person who has no type of like, oh, okay, I'm just sitting. No. I always told people, hey, I am not a street nigga. I've always thought street niggas were stupid. I always thought that people who did crime should just go to jail. You're not going to get me to sit here and identify with those guys when shit happens. If you are looking for that type of commentary, like, I'm not a gangbanger. If you're looking for that, that's why, people give me no credit for, I'm one of the people who have championed. When I mean champion, I've been so happy and championed other media personalities coming up that are different from me. Oh, you want to hear your super tough guy? You want to hear your gang member, whatever? Go listen to that person. Go listen to that person. And I have no problem with it. Because I think everybody knows now, bro, I've been doing this shit for over 10 years. Y'all know my DNA. Y'all know me. Like, I'm pretty sure some of y'all have watched me so much, y'all could probably predict how I would think about something or react. So I can't cosplay as something I'm not. But I also understand you might want to hear the other opinion. So because I can't be, like, some people could do that. They could be the gangster, the punk, the nerd, the law-abiding citizen, the fake tough guy, the homo thug. I could only be me. So I tell you, go get other people's opinions. Joe Budden's in a different demographic than me. He's an artist. He has a different background. I want y'all to go. Y'all should listen to me and him. You're going to hear different things from Ak. You're going to hear different things from Joe. I'm not trying to give you a Joe Budden perspective. I'm not Joe. The people who try to give you everything is because they're desperate for you to accept them. At this point, I think if you've watched me, you know who Akademiks is. I'm going to give you the really dope insight breakdown. Like, for example, even with the Fulio thing, if you came here, you know when Fulio died, you know what we was about to do. If you on some, nah, that shit fed. Yo, Ak, you doing fed work right now. Nah, you the police. You shouldn't even be here. Like, you're never going to be like, oh, nah, let's keep this in the streets. Let's keep this shit in the streets. Real G. Nah, that's not me. So again, I appreciate people being themselves. So when Joe says, of course I want to see that nigga get his ass kicked. When you're listening to most of these personalities, trust me, Charlemagne is biased. I am biased. Joe is biased. Vlad is biased. We're all biased. Everybody has experiences with people or whatever that kind of seeps into their thoughts. Anyway, let me keep playing. I'm going to get to that point.
I just wanted to, like,
Did you think that he was going to run from?
No, because I feel like because people
keep
keep speaking to that as if Joe is just not being very aware that that's how it comes across. Like,
oh, okay.
But the bad part about it is, and I'm glad you said that, is Drake is being used as a shield for what the real conversation is lying underneath, which is culture people versus numbers people. Mm-hmm. It's not really about Drake for me.
That was I watched this podcast, and this is why Joe Budden is amazing, because him drawing out that point is exactly the conversation we've been having. Like, I've watched certain idiots on Twitter. They're like, yo, you know why Drake lost? It's because he's aligning himself with bozos like Akademiks or whatever. Hey, Joe is speaking to exactly what it is, right? Yo, put it like this. And I mean, it goes along with everything we've seen. My platform was a platform that the battle seemed to operate on. We're doing ridiculous numbers. But when it comes to hip-hop media, I usually do usually above average numbers. Anyway, Drake aligns himself with streamers who are popular. Me, who seem to be one of the more popular media members. You're going to see popular numbers. And then Kendrick, his angle was fuck the numbers and fuck the guys who deal with the numbers. Even though we're not talking about the body shit right now. Let's do culture. So that was the conversation. And that's been a conversation that's bigger than Drake. And I'm telling you, me and Joe, I think about second episode or maybe even first episode of Everyday Struggle, we argued about this.
He was just the person on the cross.
Let me ask you, but do you think any person that gets to a certain level of success, that's going to be the knock at some point?
No, I think we're conflating things.
You think he came out the gate looking for numbers?
I couldn't say.
Gotcha.
I couldn't say. He was blessed enough to get him from the gate.
True.
Like he.
Okay, so I'll stop that there. If you guys want to watch it, you guys can. It's a Joe Budden podcast, episode 736. That's my guy. It's called Only Feds. So I agree with that there, and we're not going to keep dragging this Drake point because we got much more to get to, or Drake and Kendrick point. I agree with that point, right? And we are kind of at like this interesting fork in the road where I feel like the people who have been tweeting at me for like 10 years is like, you know, like every time I tweet out first week numbers, they're like, yo, Bo, you're not covering this guy and he's like super cultural. And I usually just say, yeah, he could be super cultural, but if nobody's consuming this shit, like, why does it even fucking matter? But then we get the perfect mix, which is a Kendrick, right? Super cultural, super, he's pretty good with numbers as well. It's a whole different beast. And that's the conversation, we're going to get. So I don't want to rehash it to death, but yeah, I think 100% Drake when it comes to what Drake didn't show this whole battle was a understanding of the cultural aspect that Kendrick was trying to show and expose. And your guess would be as good as mine why he didn't. But I think he was like, you know what, I'm not going to play defense to your angle. I have my own angle. And my own angle is that you're a disgruntled MC or whatever that's just not as popular as me. So that became the fight. But I do believe we're always in an eternal fight. And no matter what, 20 years down the line, we're going to have two rappers that they're going to fit the same mold. One guy who's supremely popular, everybody loves, he has all the hottest songs in the club. And then another guy who he's talking to the people on the ground, the boots on the ground, the people who influence the very heart of the culture. And they're going to clash. I'm telling you, this is always going to happen. Watch, 20 years when Drake and Kendrick are gone, it's going to happen again. It's going to fit the same phenotype. And we're going to see what happens then, because who knows, they might play it different. Anyway. All right, cool.